like everyone. You know,
Yeah.
you see those videos. It's like, it's just mesmerizing, you know, and I just keep
They can
watching
just pull
them.
you in for hours.
And I'm like, it looks easy.
And welcome back to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hey.
What's up?
I'm tired.
Changes.
So much going on.
So much going on that
Holidays.
You guys want to stick around for the life update.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things happened today. Last night and into today.
Yeah. And will be happening in the next few weeks.
Well, yeah. Because travel season is upon us.
Yes.
Yeah. But all that'll be in the life update.
Okay.
What are we doing first?
Sponsor.
Today's show is sponsored by
Katie with Monarch Pine. She's giving everybody 10% off, more percentage if you're a patron.
Oh.
So if you're looking for findings or blanks, go check out Katie on Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com.
Mm-hmm. And since we're at the beginning of the month, we got
the
names.
First of the month. Well, it'll be the second. But it's close enough.
Yeah.
First week of the month.
And for those in Patreon, it'll be a little bit earlier.
Right.
But this counts towards
So
December.
these shout outs we have a good problem. The shout outs are probably going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
We're still going to call the shout outs, but we're going to speed them up in post.
Oh, okay.
make them fancy. I think it's time because
okay.
I get tired reading them all. So I feel like people might get tired listening to them.
Okay.
But I still want them to happen and people hear them, but maybe just make it a little bit faster
and then
without making me sound like a chipmunk.
A full screen during this banter.
Right.
Just the names.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. But you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. First half of the list. Michelle with Edwards Farm Decor, Toby with Cuddle.xyz, Keith, Christina M, Melody P, Jen with Laser Last Design Co., Candy with Turtle to Goat Creations, Lori G, Sheila with Sign Inspirations, LLC, Natalie C, Hannah B, Kevin with Sledge Epoxy, Daniel with Alive Pixel Creates, Danny M, Stephanie E, Catherine with Primary Market, Bree with The Burn Shack, Aaron with Aaron's Acrylic Animals, Christy C, and Jess with Jersey Girl Sign Shop.
Thank you all for your support.
Yes, and remember, it's changing at the end of December. Well, it is January 1st.
Yeah. It'll all change around and
check the group for info.
Yeah, for all the info.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff it's going crazy. Like we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Did you confirm name and company name and how to say it and all
I didn't confirm
I just realized.
Pronunciation of company name.
Okay, well she can correct us if
we right. As per usual, I butcher all my intros.
Right, it's just kind of your thing.
It's kind of my thing. So, on the show today,
yes,
she did not intend to be a laser creator of sorts.
I could see that. A lot of us kind of
not create,
fell into
but
it.
like have a product business.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. She is a professional creative procrastinator, and I live with one. Yeah. So, welcome to the show, Jodi of Modcut. Is it Modcut?
Yep.
Yes.
There you go. You got an easy one this week.
I got it right.
Hi, Jodi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tired, but you know. So a little backstory on how I found Jodi. So I had posted, and these two I think were unrelated unless they saw my post, but I had posted about how when you're creative, it's really difficult not to want to start all the things and then also not turn them into a business.
I can see that. So
I had posted and I was like, oh, and I posted it was a funny list, but it was a true list of literally all the things that if I had unlimited time and money, that I would do. And one of those 20 to 30 or 40 different things on that list was rug making. And so there was a post in one of the laser groups on Facebook, and I believe someone was talking about the rug making. It wasn't necessarily laser related. It was about, if they should get into the rug making. And Jodi had commented, and she actually, I think, showed a picture of one of hers that she made where she actually combined the two, the like rug making, but with laser stuff. And it was just so cool and so unique. And then I went to her, asked if she had an Instagram or whatever that I could follow and check out. And then I just, started scrolling and falling into all the fun things. And I was like, so I think you need to be on a podcast.
Seeing those videos of with that gun.
Oh, it's so entertaining. And I know
the snipping to clean up the
right.
lines.
And I know that those people make it look so easy.
Oh yeah, no.
And that it's way harder and that I would do one and I'd probably be over it and get it out of my system. But like it's so fun to watch. And then like just you see kind of like with laser work and scroll saw artists and the people who do shaping to wood, it's like you see this, what would it be considered? Maybe like 2D.
Right.
And then you see how they add the like shaving and all that stuff to then make it like 3D. And like she adds her kind of dimension, at least from the ones that I could see, with like the different thicknesses. There's the rug part, but then there's the different thicknesses of like the frame and the wood and all of that. So I guess before we get into all that, how did you kind of get into the laser world and fall into actually having a product line and stuff?
So my whole life, I have had the same job. So I'm like you probably don't know what a long arm quilting machine is. It's a commercial quilting machine.
Okay.
And so this has been since I was like 27 years old. This is what I did. And so over all these years, like I travel and teach and I develop products, which are rulers that are made out of acrylic and stencil and all the things. And so during COVID,
it's always during COVID.
Yeah, during COVID,
I
was doing my taxes. And when I looked at the number, how much I was paying someone with a laser to cut these things for me.
Oh, I bet.
It was like, what the heck? And then I happened, of course, to see a Glowforge ad, right? And
they get
as everyone does.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I have plenty of time to do this now because I'm not doing anything else.
Right.
So we got the laser and that's what I did. I mean, I already had the products.
Right.
But now I could make all the products because I wasn't paying someone to, do it.
Right.
And I did that. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
But then you realize that the Glowforge is really not.
It's not production.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And so, but then it kind of, that was great and everything. But I'm creative, like obsessed. So it was like, that's sitting down there, you go on Instagram and you see what people are making and I could probably, let me see what I can make, and so I start making things. And then, like you said, with the list, I want to do all the things. And so I saw the people doing the shaping. So that was next.
Yeah.
So now I'm making this stuff and it's piling up. I mean, I have nothing, it doesn't go in my house. I don't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah.
And so then it was after COVID, but my husband unexpectedly lost his job. So it was like, maybe I could start an Etsy and I'll put this stuff on. No one's probably going to buy it, of course,
Right.
The thinking is always kind of about me. And then they did. And it was like,
nice.
But then I'm obsessed, right?
Right.
To try to sell them, and, and I did realize it's my thing that you're going to ask. But I realized there was a market that was very underrepresented on Etsy, and it was the mid-century modern stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I know about that. I can do that. So I did.
Yeah. That's a really good thing to do is if you ever have an interest and you see that like there's some options out there, but there's not a lot out there, that shows you there's a good, like potentially a good need to fill that you should explore.
Right.
Sometimes it means that those customers aren't there, or maybe they're not the location you're looking at, the marketplace you're looking at, or like, you know, you have to kind of find where do those people hang out so that you can market to them. But it could also mean that they just like that stuff, but they're not actually purchasing that stuff for their home or whatever. But finding that like kind of gap is huge and can be great for your business, especially if it's something you enjoy. You know, I mean, obviously looking at your background, mid-century modern is kind of your thing. So yeah, like it'll come easy to you and it'll be interesting to you. But then, you know, hopefully too, it'll make it so that people who also like it will be drawn to you because they may not have so many options out there to get what they want.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on. Hey, laser makers. Tired of the mess and hassle of gluing your layered laser projects? You know I hate glue. Say hello to Dual Tight, the game-changing double-sided tape designed just for your laser.
And guess what? Now's the perfect time to try it out. Creative Cut Supplies is excited to bring you the Dual Tight Sample Pack, and it comes with an awesome bonus.
Here's how it works. Grab your sample pack today, and they'll throw in a $10 gift card for your next order. That's like getting your sample pack practically free.
Don't wait. Head over to creativecutSupplies.com and snag your Dual Tight Sample Pack now.
Simplify your projects and elevate your laser making game. Do it.
Well, and I was like, well, I'll try, you know.
Yeah.
Worse, like I wasn't even going to have a store. So,
yeah.
But I guess it's kind of my thinking was like, they can't just go to Walmart, right? Like if you're into like farmhouse decor, yeah, you can get that everywhere. A lot of places.
Right.
But you're not going to go into Walmart or wherever and pick up this retro looking thing. And so it's worked out.
Typically, unless they like kind of sometimes they kind of try to jump on the trends, but even when they do, it's usually temporary and they don't always do like the best job at it either, you know? And then that's kind of why I also like the funny and like inappropriate items, because those are also like harder to find, and those people who have that humor, typically a lot of times like our options are like funny memes that we share. They're not actually like, you know, the ornaments that I make you can't find at Target or Walmart or you know what I mean? So again, finding those items and finding your people can be great. Yeah. So when did you start incorporating the rug making, and like how did you get into that part?
Like everyone, you know, you see those videos, it's like it's just mesmerizing, you know, and I just keep
they can just pull you in for hours.
And I'm like, it looks easy.
Yeah.
Which very not far ahead of getting the rug stuff. I also thought, like my family, there's tons of artists, painters, stuff, you know, and I'm like, I should try to paint some stuff. I mean, maybe I have it in my blood, right? Because they're doing it. So, you know, onto Amazon you go, you buy all this stuff.
Yep.
Sucked. I'm like, I can't do this.
I have a whole drawer.
And then I moved right on to the clay. I need to try this clay thing because I think I can make things for my shop. And that too was just that's too unpredictable for me. Yeah. But then I get the tufting thing and I'm like, if this is this thing, I have to stop.
Right.
But it isn't. It truly was easy. It is as easy as it looks.
Nice.
Like it takes a minute to get you know, the feel for it, but it truly was super easy.
Yeah.
And of course, that was my reasoning. Like, I think
Right.
I can incorporate this into the laser thing. I was justifying it, I
Of
guess.
course. Right.
As we all do.
Yeah, and it works. It worked good. But the other
Yeah.
part of it was that I like to do the shaping stuff and painting, but I live in Pennsylvania, and so winter was coming, and
Right.
I'm not going to be able to do that. So I thought, well, I could get that rug thing, and you can shape that. You shape it, with the clippers,
Right.
and then I won't have to paint in the winter.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think people were kind of like, what? Okay.
Right. Well, and I think it just takes you trying something to see if like it fits whatever that unknown box is in your brain or in like your creativity. Cause it's not like we couldn't get better at like painting. I mean, I'm sure if you look at like a painter's first few years, like some of them are just naturally talented.
Right.
But then some of them, like I've seen people who cannot, I mean, I'm one of them actually, who cannot draw, actually learn some drawing skills. I'm not an artist as far as like drawing, and especially like true pen and paper at all, but I was able to grow in my like iPad drawings and stuff. But like with painting, I would go to those like sip and paint things, and those would stress me out more than I would enjoy it, because it wouldn't turn out how my brain told me I could do it.
Right.
And so then I just end up nitpicking my painting, and then it's rushed because you can't sit there and mess with it forever, because the teacher is about to move on to the next thing, and then I'm like, oh, but I don't like that, but I don't have time to fix it. So you go on to the next thing. So I think it really just comes down to, trying them out, although be it expensive. And the other thing too is that you kind of have to you have to hold back, which is really hard for us. You have to like buy a couple things, try it out, see if you like it. And then if you don't, either, add it to your hoard and keep it for forever or sell it, but don't go crazy buying all the things.
Or find like a class or something. Like we saw the one rug making.
Yes, we
like,
wanted,
date night thing.
Which, it was perfect because you could try it once on date night. They have all the provided supplies. You're like, oh, this is really cool, or that was cool, but I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Like sewing, speaking of quilting, was one of those things that I tried a couple times, and it's not for me.
Right.
It's like simple. I 1 year, actually it was like the year I met you, I think, because I remember gifting you one.
Oh yeah, I remember
I made those like super simple rice bags.
Oh yeah.
And it was literally just a long rectangle. And I was able to do like the rectangle part myself, but like my friend had to like actually close them for me, because then like you have to fold them in, and like there's all this extra fabric, and you have to go like back and forth, and it was not my thing, and especially with rice in it, trying not to spill it everywhere. And I was like, all right, well, that was fun. I made those, not going to make those again. Sewing machine is not my thing. Like, it would get stuck. I would get so irritated. I couldn't thread, like, the needle. No, it wasn't my thing. So that's, like, I think you just got to explore, like, dip your toe in, find a class, or find, like, a little kit, and, Yeah.
I had every intention of taking the class. I'm like, this is smart. Take the class and see.
Yeah.
But they were very expensive. And I'm like, it's the same price as the gun.
Right.
So
that's what we
get it.
Not that example, but it's that example of why buy it for $20 when I can buy $80 in crafting materials and make it myself. So the example of you purchasing the laser goods, it's a good example of one, testing it out before you buy a laser, because they're even more expensive. You want to compare it to like the rug stuff. I'm sure the rug stuff was like, how much was the rug gun, and like your first, I guess, haul of supplies to try it out?
I'd say $200 probably.
Okay. See, that's like
I could,
lower barrier
yeah,
to entry, right?
yeah,
With the laser stuff, it's obviously much higher if you want a quality one. And so outsourcing that for a while is a great idea to see,
Right.
one, if it's something you should purchase or you should explore purchasing it. Because then the other thing too is, do you mind doing it on your own?
Right.
Or is it now something else you have to learn and like,
Right.
but then, you know, if the products are selling well, and then again, you do your taxes at the end of the year, see
yeah,
how much you spend, then that's a great, like, oh, okay, this is something I should bring in house,
Right.
save costs. And then it also just spirals into brand new
yeah.
activities.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
So what else? So do a lot of your pieces incorporate those too, or what do you enjoy making?
There's probably so I like mostly the shaping, you know. Well, no, because I did some initially for myself, right? That's a lot of time invested. I don't mind it.
Right.
I like it. I like the spray painting the most, which is the shortest part of the whole thing.
Really?
But to sell that, I don't have the time. I work full time. So there's not time in my day for that.
Yeah.
So I realized if I could make more laser, mostly just laser made things and see how that goes, because that I can make, you know, at night or on the weekends.
Right.
Yeah, but then the rug thing. Yeah. I like to, it's just all of it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
So with your full-time job, is this more like just your like part-time passion, or like how much energy does the laser part of you, I guess?
I mean, I love doing the laser. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of these things, and I think it's like it used to be in the basement, but now I got a new one, so it's in the garage. But I would just go down there, and if I start making things, I just could do it for hours and not even realize that time passed. So I'm like, yeah, I like this. Like I love this.
Yeah.
But I like my job too. So, you know, it's in the creative industry. And so I think that's why the laser is so appealing because it's like anything, right? Like a carpenter never does remodeling at his own house. I don't have any quilts on my beds because
oh my gosh,
I don't have time to do that, you know?
So
So this is like the escape, but it's creative. So it's, you know.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I'm like, well, I could make quilt related things, right? Because I already have those people that but I didn't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's still relating back to,
You do
no,
that all
Right.
day, every
this
day,
is
right?
different. This
Right.
is, you know,
And
my
I
stuff.
would guess that even though you like your job and it is something creative, it's kind of it's a bonus that those two exist, right? That you enjoy it
Mhm.
and it gets your creative side. It's still like, I feel like our body and our brain kind of like knows that like, okay, but it's work, you know? So I feel like if you do quilting stuff that's like too close to work, it kind of feels like, it might feel like you're bringing work home
Yeah.
rather than getting an escape from that. And so doing, you know, the creative stuff in a different style and medium would, you know, then get to kind of be that escape from the stuff
Mhm.
that you do all day. Even though you like it, you know,
Yeah.
we know most of us don't want to do anything really 24/7. Not even the laser stuff. I love the laser stuff, but I don't want to do it all day every day.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I don't
would
know.
be,
It depends.
yeah. And I think it's really, I there's certain things I don't mind. If it's all laser made, that's fine. But when
Mhm.
it's the painted things, and I like making one, you know?
Same. Yes.
And then, oh my gosh, 5 people want it. I'm like, "Oh, shoot me. I can't
Yeah.
want to." I mean, I
Right.
will, but
Right.
I don't want to.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
just,
why I totally relate to though the people who do like the releases or you know whatever
Right,
they
the
release like
limited.
a collection, right?
Right.
And they have however many they have. And one, it helps, you know, if you have that good following and that interest in your product, it's great because it creates that FOMO when you do have a collection. And so something comes out, they've waited for this. Now
Right.
they try to find something that they like and now they finally got something. But then you get to be creative, kind of make what you want, obviously what you think is going to hopefully do well as well. But then you're not so much like a production person because I relate to you in that I knew early on that I didn't want to be the person who made like 500 of one thing because now it's just it takes the fun and creativity out of
Right,
it
it becomes
for
tedious.
me. Yeah. I want to make the fun file. I make it once so that I can take pictures and show you how it works.
And then move
How
on
it
to
works
the next
and then move on to the next thing that my brain cuz the list of files and ideas that I have on my phone and in my brain that aren't even like written down is insane. There's not enough like hours or time in the day. And so maybe it's even that like when you're doing like 500 ornaments, you're like, oh, I could be doing that one file that I've been thinking about for a year and a half that I haven't had time to
yeah.
make rather than, you know, because it's also not all about money too. You know, it's about what this fulfills in us. You know,
Right.
the turning point for me was when we moved from Colorado to Florida. And I left my job, my career of 12 years. I kind of like fell into it because my mom worked there and it was a better job than where the grocery store that I was working at before, you know, in management. I got paid well, but I worked weekends.
Right.
I worked holidays, you know, it
sure.
had its drawbacks. And so this was more pay, you know, holidays off, weekends off. And I'm like, sure, sign me up. But it was data entry. You know, there was no creativity. I loved most of my coworkers for most of that 12 years, which is what kept me there. But then when we were leaving, I got a taste of like t-shirt making and being able to be creative and make what I wanted for the most part. And I was like, okay, I'm not going back to that. Because I got paid a lot of money, but I hated going there.
Yeah.
You know, and like I had to talk myself into going there and like, oh, I got to pay my bills. Let me show up, you know? And so I knew that like if I went and got like, quote, a real job out here, I wanted it to be somewhere fun. And I was okay with that being less money.
Right.
Because, you know, the fact is that you spend most of your day at work.
At work. Yeah.
You should try and find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know? So how did you find quilting, I guess, in your 20s?
Well, my mother-in-law wanted to buy one of these big commercial machines,
Okay.
and they're expensive. So
Right.
she wanted me to pay for half of it and
Mm.
do it as a business with her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So we went, and so it's if you look up and see what it is. So it's
Yeah.
this big. People think a laser's big, right? They're like, oh, you
Right.
have that in your house? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, a quilting machine is like 14 feet long
Wow.
Wow.
and 4 feet deep. And the
Wow.
machine is on wheels, and you move it across like a pencil, but it's stitching. So it'd be like a laser because they have
Right.
computerized ones too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. But people pay us for this, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Because what else
Yeah.
was I doing?
Right.
And I had my son was young, and it was the perfect job. You do it at home. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But now I am an educator, a full-time educator for the company that makes the machines.
Oh, nice.
And so we like do this tour, and we travel all around the country,
Yeah.
stop to stop,
Uh-huh.
set up all these machines, teach people how to use them, tear them down, move to the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like I love that because I
Yeah.
like to teach, I guess,
Yeah.
is the biggest
I
part.
was surprised how I liked teaching.
Mm.
Like if I overthink it too much, I think, oh, like hopefully I have this answer. Hopefully they understand. Hopefully I say it right, because like I'm also kind of like I'm a super messy designer. So
Right.
showing someone else how to design is kind of a struggle for me because I kind of bounce all over the place. My files are a hot mess. The file that you see, that if you buy one, and the file that I created, they're not the same. They
Right.
sometimes it can take me hours to take it from this thing that I use to cut the file to the thing that I'm giving you to then cut it yourself. Completely different. There's shit all over the place, and I make it pretty and make it make sense, and
It's funny.
not panicked.
It's funny to see your workspace creating a design and seeing my workspace in creating a video project, because I need everything. I need to know where everything is. So
I know where it's at.
No, but differently.
Very differently.
You have a mess.
Oh, it's
I
a
have
hot
my
mess.
Folders, like everything is like, and I'll even go if it's for teases, because I have like all these teases. The ones that I pick, I color code like which ones I'm using for our like teasers.
Color code them how?
I can color code the like I can label them by color.
In where?
On Premiere. On my
okay, in Premiere.
on my editing.
I was thinking like in
No, in my editing. No, I'm using my
Okay.
editing software, and you're using your. But it's just the mess that you have all over the place. And I know editors who do the same thing and just drop files in, and then they go in, and I'm like, that looks like anxiety. And how do you find anything?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you
you don't. Right.
And so every time he comes over and he looks at my my browser tabs.
Oh my God. The amount of tabs that
I can't help it. And like I feel like I need all of them too. And I'll try to pare them down.
But that's you. You in your head you have so many tabs open.
So many tabs.
And you go from tab to tab, and some don't even have anything to do with one another.
No. Yeah. Some have been sitting there for weeks because I need to get to them, but there's other more important things.
Man.
But if I close that, so here's the problem, right?
Forever.
It's kind of like a cabinet. If I close that tab and get it out of the way so that there's only, I don't know that I could go less than 10, but maybe like 5 to 10, that would be like me being
tabs
like,
open?
Yes. I need my Shopify. I need my email.
Okay.
I need Facebook usually because I'm having to go back and forth. What else? Patreon, YouTube, Canva. So definitely like at least those. And that's
two.
not including the Silhouette software, Excel, Word.
Do you need Excel and Word on like open all the time, or for specific
If
things
I haven't finished
that
something.
you can? That's part of the problem too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like I have maybe 3-4 tabs tops.
And what? So
And
what
even,
are your
and
tabs?
even then, I have to. It just depends on what I'm doing.
Okay.
So like when I'm uploading, obviously I have like I have Buzzsprout, I have our Patreon open because I'm uploading simultaneously. Maybe I have YouTube open.
Well, and for that same reason, I rarely shut down my computer because then that means I have to close all those tabs.
It doesn't rest. Your poor
and like you shut it down like every day.
Every day.
I'll ask him
sometimes even multiple times a day. When I'm done, I close everything down and I shut it down.
I'll ask him something. He's like, "Oh, I just shut down my computer." I'm like, "What's that life like?" I shut it down and restart it when things stop working well.
Yeah, because it's overworked.
Yeah, like my brain. Welcome to just a physical. What do you call it? Representation of
yes.
Yeah, and it's actually probably cleaner than what's up here. So what was the procrastination one? What was the
creative procrastinator?
Yeah,
professional creative procrastinator.
So tell me about that.
So when there's something I need to do that I don't really want to do, that's when I get a lot of ideas.
Of course.
And then I know that I have to do it. I can't even just write it down because then later I look at that note like, what was that? What did I need?
Yes.
That? So there I am on the computer. And oh, look at this file. The next thing I know, I look at the clock and it's like, 3 hours. It's okay. There's enough time later. I'll still be able to do whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bad. It's so bad.
It happens. Yeah, it happens to me too. It's and it's when you have something, and I'm learning more that it's the undiagnosed ADHD that I got of like the things that I need to get done. I don't get like a dopamine kick from it, but like that file that's been sitting there for 1.5 years that I haven't finished, or that I can't stop thinking about, that will give me that
rush
dopamine hit. But then the shitty part at the end of it is that sure, you do that, and then like now your day is almost done, and again you think you're gonna have time to get to that afterwards or whatever, and you run out of time, or hell, like now, like I have been putting off my accounting stuff for months. I was doing so good. Yeah. I was doing it every month, and then a couple months slipped because of the conference and all hell breaking loose after the conference in June. And I've sent her my stuff, but I haven't sent her any notes on like anything that needs to be like switched up or more explanation or anything like that. And so now I'm going to go back and try and look at
and try to remember
June stuff and be like, what was that? Like, this is why I was doing it monthly. And I just keep being other things that end up taking priority.
It's funny how that happens to me if I'm posting the podcast on my phone. I'll scroll through. Yeah. But if I'm on my computer,
you don't scroll.
I just do what I'm doing.
True. Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Personally. But then again, on my computer, if I find myself scrolling or like, oh, this reminds me of whatever, and I'm like, all right, time to shut it down.
Yeah.
Go back to like work.
Yeah.
Because if not, yes, I'll be there all day as well.
Right. Yeah, and that's the hard part too, is that doing stuff on our phone, you make something or you release a podcast, you have to post about it.
Right.
Well, now I have to pick up my phone, and now I have to pass by all of these notifications on the way of like, oh, you got an email, you got a text message, you got Facebook notification. Like, don't look at any of that. Go to Instagram and post it. And then I post on Instagram, Facebook page, Facebook group, TikTok, YouTube. I think that's all of them. And so all of those times I have to then not look at my notifications
Well, and
or
then
not
also
look too long.
and then also go past the home screen to the
Right.
search bar to
Right.
go to where you're going.
Right, do not
And
pass
hopefully
go, do
there's not that one
$200.
video that you're like, huh.
Oh, like
And then-
those
and then you
rug
just-
cleaning videos.
And then, oh man, listen.
Yeah.
Listen, I have a pressure washer already.
Stop.
I have a brush.
Don't.
Like I every time I wash those, I'm like, I got some of the stuff already. So how much is it gonna cost to like really get into it?
Right.
But then I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
All the time. But
Yeah.
those will get me. And those are long videos and they even speed them up. But they're like 30 minutes. Oh, and then another random one. The lawn ones.
Oh yeah. The guy that goes and fixes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like super overgrown. Like you can't even see that there's like a house back there, and he walks up and like does it for free and like
Wait till you
edges it.
Wait till you get into the lawn lines.
The what?
The lines, the patterns that they can.
Oh
cut
no,
in.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
one guy, I'm pretty sure I follow him, and he like jokes all the time about how his neighbors have to hate him because at like 8 a.m. he's like he's like knocking the dew off of his lawn in like a
that's too much.
pattern.
Oh,
And like then he's like seeding it, and then he's like, he's doing all the things, and all of that's by like 8 or 9 a.m. and he's like, and it's
The edging.
gorgeous.
the edging always gets me.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
his
part.
craft project is
Yeah.
his lawn.
Yeah.
We tried, but now it's full of what we
And the
joke
hedges.
is called snow because it's covered in whatever those flowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those white flowers.
It's Florida snow.
Yep. I prefer that snow.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Yard work is not for me either.
No.
I mean,
Well,
I
I
do it,
realized.
But
Go ahead.
ugh,
What were you gonna say?
I do the yard stuff, but I don't love that. I don't see
Ugh,
that.
Yeah. That's another thing. Add that with like sewing. I physically cannot with my back and my knees do any of the like landscaping or not like I want the pretty lawn and the one with no weeds and
Right.
like the cute little flowers and all that stuff, but like the upkeep, like it's that neighbor who's out there every morning. There's one neighbor I
Yeah,
see
our
almost
neighbor.
every single day going when I drop the boys off at school.
Uh-huh.
They're like in there like getting all of the things
Yeah.
that like showed up, and like that's how you keep on it. And I could maybe do that for like a couple days to a week.
And it's like, oh, like it's easy to stay on it and not let it overgrow because
Right.
then you have more work to do.
Yeah.
A little bit every day.
Yeah. A little bit one time.
Yep.
So do you intend to keep the laser stuff like as the escape like part-time?
Yeah.
Do you ever plan to no?
No.
Yeah. I could see that because I could see how it could maybe take away what it gives you now being
Yeah.
the
Yeah. It becomes, well, that's anything.
mhm,
Like you think, oh, I'm a quilter and I'm going to make all the quilts.
mhm.
No, you're not, because
Right.
you're doing everybody else's. So it's just not, it gets
Right.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the teaching part of the quilting. How did you get into that part? Did it just kind of like organically happen after you had been doing it for so long, or?
Well, so my mother-in-law was a teacher too.
Mm.
And she taught like accounting programs so that they could keep their quilting businesses, whatever.
Mm.
And she's like, you should teach your stuff because, I can help you.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, okay, I guess. I didn't want to talk in front of people.
Yeah.
And so the very first time we went, I'm waiting and I'm like, where the hell is she? She's
Mhm.
supposed to be helping me like do this together.
Mhm.
She purposely came late. So I am like going to freak out. I tell the
Right.
people, okay, guys, before we start, if you guys see me like start to faint, please somebody catch me.
Right.
I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And it was, I liked it.
Yeah, we always
with.
make it worse than
But like I have they always say I'm super laid back because I just want to tell you, you know how when you take a class, like some teachers, like I can take a class and I'm like, this person just is not for me. I can't, I don't relate to the way
Right.
they're doing it. And so I just like to tell people how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you know what you're talking about and you know your subject, you don't have to think really. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
here's how you do it. Let me show you.
Yeah.
I like to tell them all the things
Yeah.
because I think there's nothing worse than it's YouTube videos too. You know, you watch a video how to do something and they're like, and then we're going to do this and then we're that. And I'm like, wait.
Wait,
How
how'd
many
you get there?
minutes? How
Right.
long did you do it? Did you push hard? Was that light?
Right.
You know, and
Give me
then
all the details. Yeah.
yeah. So
I
I
had a
like
cement
to,
pad out back that fell victim to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good idea at the time.
Looked easy enough.
It did. And it's slowly sinking on.
There's some details they left out in those videos.
Yeah, you don't know which ones. Yeah. That's true. I would say, so like for the teaching I've done, if I do well when I have like an outline, but then it kind of keeps me like, you know, I know which direction I need to get to.
Right.
But if it's too rigid, then I'm like, oh, did I miss something? Oh, did I go too far into detail on something else? And then now I didn't talk about this long enough, or I forgot to talk about this at all. And then I overthink it instead of just having like a loose outline of this is what I want to teach them, but kind of going with the feedback from the students. Because what I prefer is when they have questions or things that they specifically want to know.
Right.
I hate teaching and hoping that something that I teach them will be beneficial or new to them. And when they can come to me with specific questions or something I do sparks a question and like you said, like that's when I'm like, oh, I know this. Like more times than not, I know the answer. And so I at least have that confidence and not freaking out by every question and, you know, whether I know it or not anymore. But I've realized that's when I teach better too, because I don't have this like did I go over? Did I stick on something, you know, too long? Did I not have enough time to finish the project? Like, let me just show you generally how to do this, wait for questions to come up and then answer those. And then now I've hopefully given, you know, most people what they need. I always joke that he's my emotional support husband. So he went with us with me to the last laser conference where I was teaching so not this last one, the one last year. And I was teaching actually, you know, a 1.5 hour class or whatever. And it, you know, it was 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm not a morning person by any means. And everyone's just like, some people are chipper, but most people are probably in like a similar space that I was, you know, like I'm here because I paid for it, but like, and I was super nervous. Like I was just anxious and like, oh, like awkward. And then it took that first person getting that like light bulb moment. And then it was like, oh, okay. This is worthwhile, like teaching. Because teaching was never really something that like happened up until the laser world. Like, I mean, I would kind of know things and like show other like coworkers how to do something, but it was never like a formal Crystal's going to show us how
like
to do X, Y, Z.
type,
Right. Yeah. So becoming a teacher later on in life was a bit of a struggle because, you know, what a teacher looked like to me was way different than what I was.
Right.
I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because I never in my life was like, I want to be a teacher.
Right.
But if I like something, then I want to show other people how to do it. And so,
Yeah.
I think you have to have that passion to, you
Yeah.
want to tell people what you're telling them,
Right.
because I can't do the outline at all. Like
Right.
I like a PowerPoint, so I can just look at the slide. Okay,
And
now
then fill
I
in.
see what's on there, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. But
Right.
if
And
I
just
try to
see.
run through it,
Mhm.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Because
And I realized that with videos too. I was struggling with what was it? Like either the course or there was
The LED
there's a
course.
bunch of videos and stuff that I needed to make, and I had like I had basically like given myself like a script because I struggled because there was things I needed to say. Like I couldn't with the course, it was like I can't forget to mention this part because it's
Right.
necessary. And so I kind of like gave myself a script, but what ended up happening was I couldn't memorize those lines. I couldn't memorize the script, and then I would mess it up, and then I would, skip something that was important. And later on, I had to just get really good, like detailed bullet points that weren't really like full sentences.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could fill it in without sounding like a robot, because that was the other thing I ran into was, sure, I finally nailed the line, but now I completely lost all little bit of personality that I had and just hyper focusing on memorizing the line. So I feel like adulting is mostly just figuring out how to live life with your personal brain and way of doing things
with your own bullet points.
Yeah, because there's no like right or wrong way necessarily. You just got to do what works for you, and if you're a teacher, what works for most of your students. That's the other thing too. It's okay if you're not necessarily their style,
right?
It might suck a little bit if they maybe didn't learn from you, or you were too all over the board for them, but like that's just kind of how it is. I mean, we've all had the teachers where class is enjoyable because how you teach and how you do something keeps me engaged. And then we also have the teachers where you're like, this hour or 2 hours or whatever it is feels like 10 times
I hate
that.
going to that class.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Our new question, what is one tool, mindset, or skill that you learned that really helped your business grow? Whether that's the quilting side or the laser side, what would that be, do you think, for you?
So I realized, and it started in the quilting, and right into the laser thing. You have to make what you enjoy making.
Yes.
Because what happened for me with how the quilting would work is people would piece the part that you don't like, right? They're going to sew it all together, and then they bring it to you. And then I just hook it all together with the stitching and pretty designs. But after 20 years of doing that, I could do every kind of style because this is what I do. But it just was like, I don't want to do this quilt. I don't like it. I just, it's
right.
So yeah, I just stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Like I no longer quilt for other people. And it's the same. Like initially I was going to design patterns for the laser, right? Because I thought, you do the work one time and put it on there. Well, nobody bought them. And it's like, okay, because I'm making what I like. So maybe that's not the norm, And I thought, okay, let me try to make things that are mainstream, right? Which, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You know better. So it was fine.
Yeah.
Did I like it? Yeah, it looked nice. But I look at it like, I'm not putting this in my kitchen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it just wasn't worth it. Like I'm trying to make things that more people would buy.
Right.
As opposed to making what I like, which is going to be a much smaller market. So, and then, I could have done my own files.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm just going to sell them to my own competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a broad enough market that, thousands of
Right.
people are not going to buy this file.
Right.
So, yeah. And so when I started making things, you have to do what you enjoy, or else you're just going to get burned out.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, just agreeing.
Yeah. When I started early on, and I think sometimes, so for me, that was actually doing things to figure out what I liked doing. The things I love doing now, I had no idea I would love doing when I first bought my laser. I actually bought the laser because I thought I wanted to make those nursery signs. And then I actually made a couple of them. And then all the anxiety came behind like the hooks that I put them on. And please don't actually put this over their bed, because now I'm worried about like if it falls on them or if they touch it, or, like just all of that. And then I saw like the shaping ones that came out, and it looks cool, but I don't really have any desire to do the shaping and the sanding and get all messy and dirty and all of that. And I was like, yeah, okay, these signs aren't for me. And then, all of my friends and, my family would like order things, and, I'd make it because it was an order. It was like, oh, okay, sure, I can make something custom. I have this freedom to make that very unique thing that you want. And yeah, sometimes I would love them. And then sometimes there were a few that I'm like, I'm not posting this anywhere. Like, you may love it, but I don't love it. And then true to the thing, if you don't love what you're making, that's going to not show, like, you can tell the difference.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that it wasn't a bad product or whatever, but like when you actually really, really enjoy making it, it shows in how you talk about it. It shows in how you sell it. It shows in how, like, just making it, and you can easily make a little bit more of them because, you enjoy making them. So for me, one of the biggest ones was saying no. And that became more comfortable once I had the community, because it was much easier to say no when I'm like, oh, that may not be for me, but I know several other people who can make that for you, because that is for them. Like, even today, my sister's friend, one of my sister's friends that she grew up with, I think they played soccer together when they were like 4. But years ago, I made her gift tags that are stocking tags that looked like gift tags out of wood, and the back was stained and the front was painted. And if you know me now, I hate all of those things. Wood, painting, staining, gluing. There was no 3M on any of that. And she wants new ones because, there's new people in the family. And it's tempting, especially for, someone that I too also grew up with, because she was friends with my sister, to be like, oh, sure. And I'm like, ugh, don't wanna, know? So instead, and I asked her, I'm like, well, I solely work with acrylic now. Do you want like a new set in like my current style, or are you looking for something similar to what I made you then? And she's like, oh yeah, I would really like, the wood and something similar to what I had. And I'm like, okay, well, let me find someone for you, because it would be a chore for me. I would procrastinate on it. I would find a million other things to do. I'd finally make it. Like, I'd probably have to buy like a can of like stain, or I'd have to buy the pre-finished wood, and that's more expensive, and just all the things. So I've just expanding more on the making what you want and sticking to it. It's hard because you can physically make all of those things. Should you make all of those things? Not necessarily.
It's like me after I did my first wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
You knew you didn't want to.
I knew I was like, I don't want to do weddings, but this one kind of fell in my lap, and I was like, we kind of needed the money.
Right. Well, that's the hard part too, is that when you need the money.
And it wasn't even really a wedding. It was a vow renewal. So it took a little bit less off. But then I show up there to find out that they never had a true wedding. So they're treating this vow renewal as their real wedding.
Right.
And they're doing like all the things that they didn't get to do the first time around. Man. And it's like, this is like a legit wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like I know why they charge so much for weddings.
Yeah.
And everything. And then I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I just want to do the corporate videos.
Yeah.
Like, and then, but underlining me, I also just want to do like podcasts.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it's finding a way to do what you really want to do, either eventually or working in that direction. Like right now, the podcasting isn't 100% of what we want to do, but making that, or what we do now. Right. But making it a goal and kind of moving in that direction with the decisions that we make, that doesn't mean you can't take another wedding if the price is right, or, we need to pay the mortgage, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or a friend of a friend or whoever.
Right.
But it means that, like, before we take those jobs, we really do need to, like, double, triple check. Does this align with what we want to do eventually?
Is it going to take away from others? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So she doesn't really have any files to sell, but she's giving everyone a file. So no discount, but actually she is. It's 100% discount.
It's free.
She's giving everyone a free file. So I'll probably end up adding that to a Dropbox link, and I'll add that Dropbox link to the show notes, and then also in our group. And then, so tell everybody a little bit about what the file is that you gave them, if you remember.
No, I do. That was the first file I made.
Oh, I love
and my favorite. I have those all through my house. So it's like a sun catcher and a wind spinner, and so the rings all fit inside each other and totally can spin like independently. Nice. I'm not going to say it's super easy to put together.
Right.
The first one's going to be frustrating, but it took me so long to do it and make them work. And then my husband, I said, I need. Like I was using whatever those little rings
Jump
are called. Drive me crazy, those
I
things.
hate them.
But I was using those, and I'm like, but I want them to spin. And he's like, you just need some little fishing things. I'm like, I don't know anything about fishing. So.
Right, me either.
Yeah, so I went to Walmart and bought them. Yeah, now I think it's super cool.
Nice.
It's funny because as soon as she said like she was using those,
spin your brain. I saw husband, you like, oh
no, and she's like, and my husband like, he's going with the swivels, the fishing swivels.
Yeah. What are the fishing swivels? Is it like part of like the lure?
So no, it's part of the line. So the lure or the bait, depending on how you're fishing. Usually you don't use swivels for lures, not most of them, but you can. Anyway, the line from the hook goes to one end of the swivel. You tie it there, and then you tie the other two with a sinker.
Yeah.
If you you tie the other side to the line, to the main line that comes from your rod. And what happens is this line can like fall on the floor, and the swivel part allows to spin without tying up your line. Oh. So they spin independent of each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
The two eyes spin independent of each other. So the lure or the bait can be doing whatever, and it doesn't tangle up your, like, it doesn't cause tension in your line.
I didn't even ever think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like, it's like the in-between.
Yeah. It's kind of like a middleman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
It took a while to figure out which ones though. Because I didn't know about sizes, and the sizes are like these weird, do you need a number 7? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I bought a lot of them to find to keep the ring space.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, and then it's hard for me because there's sometimes where like a design is so ingrained in my head that I'll stick through all of the like hurdles of finding the right accessory or the way to do it, where like sometimes I'm just so stubborn and I'll try all the things to get it done. But then there's sometimes where like I hit that first snag, that file is pushed off to the side for life, and I never know which one it's gonna be. Why are you?
Because I've seen it happen. I've witnessed this happen before.
When
I can't name exact files, but I've seen it happen before.
I can name an exact file.
And of course, they're your files.
That's true. The weightlifting milestone. What were you gonna say?
When I first started to draw some files, like I never, I don't know anything about it, and I'm like, there's not enough information. Don't I need to give them this, and shouldn't I have that? And the next thing I know, it's like this class handout. And it's
the README file. They literally, and like Victor. I mean, so do you know who Victor Haven is? Yeah. So his files are very like intensive, and so it literally is like sometimes like he's working on this really cool box. It literally, which is very typical for him, but it takes 12 sheets of, of material, and he does 3D instruction pictures. I mean, you kind of have to for some of these that are intensive.
His designs, you kind of have to.
But like, so he not only he makes the design, he does all the testing, he figures it out, design quote completed. Well, now starts the creating of all of those graphics for each step. And then now comes writing all of that into Word format and like describing to them in ways that they can understand.
Right.
And for me, I do not do well with written instructions, like giving or receiving. And so my file instructions, like the intensive files, they kill me because like my normal files, it's red for cut, blue for score, black for engrave. And then I typically have like one little paragraph, and that's just like tip, like the fishing lure ornament that I just did, that I turned from the milestone into an ornament. It's literally like I applied 3M to this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece before cutting for easy assembly. Like that's, and I put labels of like, this is the backer, this is his eyeballs, this is the fish part, and then this is the lures, which the fish.
You get so technical with it.
I literally called it fish. And like, so that's my instructions. Like I hate the complicated ones because like I just don't explain that stuff well. So yeah, the instructions part it's not fun.
I did some sun catchers, and I thought, okay, well, I can't. You watch videos of someone making something like that, and they're putting it together, and they're just like, just use your fingers and just line it up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, because it is not going to be lined up.
Right.
And I can't do that. So I'm like, if I do this sun catcher, now I have to give them a file for the jig.
Right.
So I did. And then I'm like, I think I need a video because they're not going to understand. So I needed so I did a video, and it was like,
snowballs.
This is more work than
it's worth.
Coming up with the file.
Right. Yeah. I tend to do videos more. I remember when Stan, he was like from Lens Digital, he was like, oh, well, we have a manual. Why don't people read the manual? And I was like, he's like, people keep asking for videos. And I'm like, Stan, I could read that manual 4 times. You could tell me which paragraph it's at. I might comprehend that maybe enough to go over to but the video like that like I understand it like immediately there. And I've mentioned this a couple times on the podcast. There was that game that we were trying to play with JR. I'm trying to read and it's a kid's game. Like I think it's like a 5 and up, maybe. It's not
the directions
like,
weren't apparently
not for my brain. And I tried reading them. I read them a few times. I'm like, what do you do? And I was like, there's got to be a video. And I went to YouTube and I was like, oh, okay. Like it was another reiteration that my brain does not work that way.
And the board and the games. Because before meeting you, I didn't play any game at parties or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like you guys would explain the game. I'm like, let's just play and I'll figure it out as we go.
That's true.
You're trying to explain it. I'm like,
written instruction.
You're saying it to me. I'm like, I don't see it. I need to see it.
Right.
Let's play around.
I'll figure it out.
And I'll play from there.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, the only game I ever played growing up was dominoes. That's the only game we ever played. There was no like, and for you guys it was like poker, but then like and it expands
Candyland,
out. Right. But for us it was only dominoes.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll continue this after we've gone over a little bit.
Where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's jodirdesigns. I do have a Modcut Instagram,
Nice.
but it's pretty pitiful.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook, it's just Jodi Robinson.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Well, stay right there. And the life update's coming up next. And we're back.
Mm-hmm.
It has been crazy day. Crazy last night. That is because we didn't go to bed till about 3 a.m. last night because you were finishing up some cuts.
And
then
typical
getting the laser ready.
I shared a clip. I shared a reel on my personal page about, it was this guy and he's like literally sitting there like on his phone, like stirring his straw in his iced coffee, waiting until the last minute to be late.
Yeah.
That like it's not, that was more intentional, but it's not always that intentional.
No.
But it was just like, okay, selling the laser, posting, she was interested.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was talking back and forth, she's asking questions and, me answering it. And then I sent her a video and then it was like coordinating like the price and the time and when she was going to pick it up and like all those things. And then, we scheduled it. And then it was like a couple days later that I was like, fuck, that's in 4 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we scheduled it like a week plus out, it felt like. And then it just all of a sudden, then it was like, oh, that's not only that's in 4 days, but we have all this other stuff going on in between those 4 days, like your cousin's party and like, Sundays. Yeah. Sundays, like just, you wish they were relaxed days, but they're not. They're get ready for the weekdays. It's like another weekday because you're just preparing for the
Well, and also in our case, on Sundays, the boys are home, but my mom's also home because she's not working.
Right.
So she'll take them to the park or whatever. So we're in here trying to sneak in some work, which always overlaps. She'll come home. We're like, all right, let's finish this.
And we're still working.
But we're still in here. Mm-hmm. So that's why Sundays feel like that.
Yeah. And so it's so funny. And that hour and 35 minutes talking to her, and then as soon as my brain was like, oh, we're in life update mode, cool. We're tired AF. Yeah. So anyway, I had all these projects that I was like, shit, well, so we sold the Mira 9. She's and we're getting Mariah Carey went off to her new home, and she's actually a listener. Shit, I forget her name. I'm so terrible with names. It starts with an M. I know. I always know what the M name starts with, what the first letter is, but figuring out the rest of it is a struggle. I think it's going to drive me crazy. I think it's Miranda.
Yeah. So last night we were up making some last cuts, which there's an update there too. But we were doing that, and then also
Melinda. Yes.
And then also cleaning it because we don't want we're using it. So
I don't use it a ton, so it's actually pretty clean. But like we still need to go through the motions of cleaning it, and so then it was like, oh well, I had these two,
and also since we don't use it all that often, we don't clean it all that often either.
Yeah, and so the I had these two like ornament ideas in my head.
Right.
Well, the Mira 5 that we're getting, we're picking up on December 12th.
Right.
I can't push this off until December 12th because then Christmas is over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This, even if everything's ready to go the second I get the laser, like there's not enough time.
Right.
So that's already too late. So it's like, if I want to do something with them, I have to do them now. And now the hard part now is I've cut those things. I need to actually list them, because that's another thing that I like to do to myself is I finally cut it and then I don't get around to taking pictures and listing it.
Right.
And, woo, you cut it, you did it, and you still missed the holiday. Happens to me every single year. So I was cutting, the last minute stuff, and then to just some quick update, a little bit of sad news. Not Andre, but Andre's family. Right. So I have not gotten around to cutting those keychains for him. So I was like, I need to cut those now. I do not want to wait any longer. Right. I wanted to bring them with us to Colorado. Right. And then I now also wanted and needed to cut some for his mom. So he's going through chemo himself. And around his second round of chemo, he found out that his mom was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. Yeah. So she just had her surgery the other day. I don't know anything about like her follow-up care, what kind of care that she'll need beyond that, but that's kind of like the first step, and then they go from there to see, what additional treatment you need, if any. So yeah, just send some hugs and positive vibes and prayers, if that's your thing, to Dre and his family. I reached out to Katie, and she's gonna send me some of those cancer necklaces, cancer ribbon necklaces. So we'll engrave, a couple of those for, him and his family and friends and stuff. And yeah, so like, I go from not using my laser for several weeks to then cutting every single thing in one day. It's very typical for me. I'll finally turn the laser on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I actually like this thing. And then I want to cut all the things. And then I'm like, oh, but you have all these other things you need to do. And so then it's like this roller coaster of using it a whole lot and then not using it and then using it a whole lot. So I had to use it for all of those things Sunday. Did I do some of it Saturday? Or did I do all of it Sunday?
All
I
of
think
it Sunday.
did all of it Sunday.
It was all Sunday. Because Saturday we were at my cousin's house.
Oh, right. And I don't think I cut anything Friday. I had hoped to, but I hadn't got around to it. So yeah, I cut all the things, and then it was like, okay, we need to clean it, and then we needed to drain it, and then we needed to, there wasn't a ton around it, but we're like, oh, we need to move all of this out of way out of the way.
And then so as you know, we were in our garage, and since we moved here, I don't think we've opened this door
like
for
twice.
like a year.
Yeah. No, probably
close to, if not a year, almost. So I had to make sure that nothing, like I had to bring down the light, take down the curtains, like move stuff off, because it's not just opening the garage, it's also making sure that there's nothing between the sensors so it can close again.
Right.
So I had to do all that stuff, so
it all took
then
way longer than
3 a.m, and then some last minute editing. Well, so that the
we
podcast,
had to record an ad that we've kept forgetting about, and we're like, we're gonna record that during that last episode, and then forgot because it went late, and then we're gonna record that when we do the after dark, and then forgot, or it went late, and then
so that's that's why we're tired, and we are CO2 laserless.
It feels weird, and we will be for a couple weeks. But again, one of those weeks we're going to be in Colorado, and if you're in Colorado, come to the meetup. It's our first official TRBP tour stop, and also Colorado Laser Makers. It's their first meetup. So we're teaming together.
If you're there, if you listen to the show about when it drops, we'll be there Thursday of this week.
Yeah.
So, and then the meetup's what, Friday?
Friday, December 6th.
Friday.
At 6 p.m.
Yeah. So if you're listening within
Elks
the first
Lodge.
week of this drop, we'll be there this week in Colorado.
But yeah, so there's just so much room. So look, watch out for some content.
Yep.
We'll be putting some content of how we're going to just reorganize
and how she
everything
left and everything like that. And
yeah.
It's not just that she's gone and we're putting a new we're kind of like revamping the area.
Yeah, I'm glad I decided to do it early and not like back to back, so that like we have some space, we can kind of see how things, potentially fit together and hopefully have a more cohesive space, because it wasn't very functional. Like we were talking about, I think today or yesterday, when we moved in, we kind of just everything went in the garage for the most part, and then we kind of got everything out, and then it was just the work stuff.
Right.
And then it was like, we need to get back to working, and so we just did
put
the best
everything
that
where
we could,
where it felt like it was easiest to go without really planning too much of where things
or
were
buying
going.
any new things or so now we get to like make it purposeful,
right,
and hopefully make it also look
very
pretty
demure,
too.
Very mindful. That's what we're gonna do.
All those things.
I'm
ready for bed.
All right. Well,
okay.
thanks as always to our Patreon supporters.
Yes, we love you so much.
And if you're not a patron, your time is ticking. I mean, that $4 level is going away.
And
if
the tiers are changing too. The ones that remain.
How things are changed. How things are going is going to be changed. And if you're not a patron, you're going to be about a week behind live soon.
10 days.
10 days. So, if you want that fresh content as it comes out.
If you don't want major FOMO.
You know what I mean? Everyone's going to be talking about things and you'll be like, what? Oh, it was on the podcast. Oh, you're not a Patreon?
10 days ago.
You're not a Patreon? That was on this week. Oh, you're regular. Oh, you're general admission.
You're
not
regular.
not to, but we just want to add a little more value for our patrons. But we love all of our listeners.
We really do.
We are now on iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Because I filled out that little thing to have our podcast on there. So if you listen to other things on iHeart and you shoot over to somewhere else, you can now just search us on iHeartRadio and the podcast should be there.
Cool.
And you can listen to us there too. So with that, it's been another great episode of the Riley Back Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.